from South Bend, Indiana. Sound the bagpipes for the number one team in the country. Top-ranked Notre Dame, glistening in its green helmets, and Irish eyes are fixed on a number one seed, while bubble-bound North Carolina eyes a resume-boosting win. And with that, good afternoon, Anish Shroff, former Tewaaraton winner Matt Ward. Just moments ago, really minutes ago, we were watching it live. Liam Entenmann, Notre Dame's goalie, took a rocket shot off his left shoulder. He had to go, leave the field, go into the locker room. He was pacing the sidelines, coming back the other way. It's going to be something to watch through the course of the next 60 minutes.
Yeah, Liam Entenmann is one of the best goalkeepers in the country. And right here, you can see he takes it up almost in the left collarbone, and he's down on the ground. And again, he's walking it off the sideline. Seems to be going to give it a go, but he is definitely shaken up a bit.
He's a two-time All-American. If he can't go, Alex Zepf will get the start, the first of his career. For North Carolina, this is a game that they need. They're on the bubble, looking to improve their resume before Selection Day. How do they do it against a Notre Dame team that they're going to now play twice in 3 weeks?
It's going to be hard. But upsets start with possession. And that's usually a reflection of, are you winning the ground ball battle? And that starts at the face-off X. And for North Carolina, they have been unbelievable at the face-off X, winning ground balls, going forward, putting the ball in the back of the cage. And so they're going to have to win those face-offs to be competitive here, and they're going to lean on their senior here in Tyre.
Andrew Tyre, 13 goals, their top-scoring midfielder, and he's their face-off man. And right now, all eyes for us fixated on the Notre Dame goal. It looks like Entenmann will take his place. Now, he didn't take many warm-up shots after leaving. They threw him back into the net while we were just talking on camera a moment ago to see how he would react. But again, this is a potential game changer. We're talking about one of the best goalies in college lacrosse.
Yeah, look, upsets start with the ground balls that we just mentioned, but also if a good team has a weekday in the cage, that's an opportunity for the other team. And so this is a strength of Notre Dame with Entenmann, but how is he going to react? Again, that low shots and off-hip shots are going to be tough for him if his shoulder, collarbone are somewhat sore.
Notre Dame coming off a bye week. You've got the Notre Dame spring football game set for later today, so a lot of fans in the adjacent parking lots tailgating. Arlotta Stadium starting to fill up. One of the great parts about lacrosse this last month, Matt, especially in the ACC, boy, we have been witness to some great atmospheres.
It's fun to see it, and you see it here at Notre Dame. You saw it at Duke. You've seen it in Charlottesville. We've had good weather. We've had good teams in the ACC, and these are two of them.
Liam Entenmann in goal. Get some hand pounds from his close defense, and we are ready for the opening faceoff. Colin Hagstrom will take the opening draw for Notre Dame, not Will Lynch, who is their normal top faceoff man.
It's an interesting move. Hagstrom, a little bit better athlete, likes to scrap. Wins the first faceoff X, so pays off.
And Pat Cavanaugh with a quick shot. Krieg had it. Hagstrom on cleanup duty, 1-0 Notre Dame. So Kevin Corrigan with a change-up on the opening faceoff, and it's Hagstrom with his first career goal.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together? Notre Dame switches face-off men to their backup Hagstrom, who gets it to Cavanaugh. Krieg with the save. Bad ball control. Somewhat careless for the goalminder. Krieg for North Carolina, and Hagstrom puts in the back of the cage for his first career goal.
And Hagstrom will come out to the X for the second face-off against Tyre. Andrew Tyre, the most goals of any face-off man, and he violates. First violation on North Carolina, so Notre Dame with possession. And you mentioned it, for Carolina, you've got to win the possession battle. Not off to a good start for the boys in blue. Here comes Eric Dobson down the alley. Errant pass off the stick of Chris Cavanaugh. And North Carolina with its first offensive possession as they set up the clear. And Joe Bresci's number one concern. The Notre Dame ride, specifically the two Kavanaughs who come at you like piranhas.
And look, when you look at the best riding teams in the country, a lot of times it's scheme. It's a 10-man ride. It's doing things a little bit different. Notre Dame, let the Kavanaughs do their thing, right? Like, they absolutely, to me, are the toughest attackmen. They're not the biggest physically, but man, if you pick a fight with them, you made a mistake, right? And they show that in the way that they play.
North Carolina a little shorthanded on offense today. Sean Goldsmith still out. PJ Zinzer is out. James Matton, we were told a game-time decision, not getting the start on attack. Dewey Egan in there instead. Here is Egan, big number 21, 6'4" sophomore from California. Now it's Lance Tillman. Tillman gets a step on Conlon, shoots. And it's picked up by Quinn McCann, and now Notre Dame will clear. Carolina likes to ride. It's about a 9.5-man ride as Krieg hedges. Irish have to get it across midfield before that shot clock hits 20. Now they're going to have to hurry. That's failure to advance. North Carolina ball. Quick restart. Here comes Logan McGovern. He leads Carolina in goals, assists, and points. The Bryant transfer. Tough shooting game last week, just 3 out of 12.
And for North Carolina, they need to, in my opinion, early on, they've got to prove to Notre Dame that they can take one to the rack and score. Because if they don't do that, Notre Dame's going to slough into the middle and not give them any opportunity in the crease. So North Carolina, where they've struggled, is those one-on-one on offense. Can they find someone today against a very talented Notre Dame defense?
They struggled in the 6-on-6 last week against Syracuse. Egan has got the short stick matchup. Egan, question mark, dodge, shoots low, and beats Entenmann. We're tied at 1. And Matt, right before the game, I asked you when Entenmann took that shot off his left shoulder, how could that impact a goalie? And you said, that's offhand. The low shots could be a problem.
When you're a goaltender, your top hand, right, is driving the top of the stick towards the ball. So when it's high, there's not a lot of movement. It's those change of directions where it goes high to low, where that bottom hand becomes more relevant. And right there, look, it's a good play by Egan, right? That's a big-time play. It's what North Carolina needs. A nice question mark, changing lane or changing planes on his shot. They need him to, like, to me, he's the big physical athlete that can kind of body up and match up against Notre Dame's defense. They're going to need more of that.
We saw him score off the dodge a couple of times last week in the loss to Syracuse. Notre Dame has won all 3 faceoffs. And white, Brian Tevlin, he does it all. Offense, defense, he'll play with the pole. Plays the bagpipes along with Ross Bergmaster. Jack Simmons, the Virginia transfer. Now to Chris Kavanaugh. He had 5 goals last time out in a win against Duke. That was 2 weeks ago, and this one belongs to UNC. Krieg threads the needle on the outlet. Trevor Dubner now, 12 and blue. Over to Griffin Gallagher, Division III transfer from Gettysburg, where he had 30 goals last year. Egan again. Got a step on Napolitano. Good look. Missed the cage. And Gallagher wins the race to the end line, 30 to shoot.
Egan was a big reason North Carolina's recruiting class last year was number 1 in the country. Has shown glimpses. He's battled some injuries. Seems to be getting healthy. And right now, early in the game, he's getting his hands free.
Yeah, he's the guy that's been able to win the matchup. Dubner working on Teflon. Gives it up to Gallagher. Shot clock coming up on single digits. Now it's Tillman. Conlon stays with him. Tillman finding Dubner. And with 3 to shoot, let's see if Carolina runs anything with McGovern. McGovern driving on fake. Shot clock at 1. He's lucky that wasn't a delay of game.
I think it was. A little late after the whistle. Again, that's, as a coaching staff, that's why you just roll to the corner, right? Because, again, nothing, I don't think, malicious about that, right? But by the rule, that's a delay of game.
Marco Napolitano has the green shaft to go along with the helmet. Riley Gray now, 17 and white. 8 career goals entering the season, a dozen this year. He's connected on more than half his shots, his best season of his career. Out there on the midfield with McCann and Eric Dobson. Paul Barton hounding Chris Kavanaugh.
And I think Barton's a pretty good matchup for North Carolina on Kavanaugh. We all know how good he is as Dobson fires one off the post. But he's big physical, right? And Kavanaugh's not going to be afraid, but I think that's a good matchup that North Carolina could feel pretty comfortable in.
Barton's dad, Harris Barton, 3-time Super Bowl champion with the 49ers, played at UNC, and we're going to get a trip on UNC. Gray on the invert against Alex Bresci. Back to Chris Kavanaugh. He's got Geppert hung up. Kavanaugh serpents around the cage, puts his body into it, shoots offline, and Notre Dame will have the extra man.
And that play by Chris Kavanaugh, you really see he is a student of the game. He's worked on that movement right there, the kind of the dip the shoulder to make the defenseman bring his stick over to then get his hands free. So we can see here Alex Bresci, who Coach Bresci says is really kind of the lifeblood of the defense with the kind of careless footwork and the lackadaisical, and that's a slash. The penalty you can't afford to take in a game like this.
Notre Dame has the second best man-up offense in the country, 61%. Only Georgetown better. Here's Dobson. He can stretch the defense. Kavanaugh, Notre Dame's all-time assist leader. That's Pat Kavanaugh, 51. Chris, 50. That hits somebody. It'll stay with Notre Dame. 35 seconds on the extra man.
I think Mars' head's probably ringing a bit there.
Dobson stepped down. That shot blocked. Ouch.
With Entenmann in the cage in warm-ups and 2 shots off the head. Watch out here in South Bend.
Pat Kavanaugh touched it last before it went out. North Carolina ball. There's Connor Marr, the former All-American. Gets past Pat Kavanaugh. Now, one area where North Carolina has had success, now it's happened against some lesser teams. They can win the middle of the field. They've got some athletes, Matt Wright, the long pole, English, Marr, even a guy like Barton we've seen push and transition.
They're best when it's chaotic, and that tends to happen in the middle of the field. It's with their ride, it's with the scrappiness. They have really good D-middies. That's really been their kind of strength, I would say, as a team this year. They've struggled on the 6-on-6, as we mentioned, and they're going to need a lot of that middle of the field execution today against this Notre Dame defense.
Henry Schertzinger. This is Egan with a bounce shot. So far, 21 in blue. Dewey Egan seems to be the guy that's getting good matchups and winning them.
He's just a big physical athlete.
Tillman around the cage, stuffed by Entenmann.
But right now in this game so far, right, North Carolina not backing down. They're playing hard. They're getting good opportunities. And really, I think they're kind of dictating the pace of play thus far.
Ben Ramsey, the freshman. Notre Dame's got some players in the defensive midfield as well. Ramsey, Nick Harris, both threats to score. We know what Jose Boyer can do. Chris Kavanaugh to his brother Pat. Pat Kavanaugh Kavanaugh guarded by Evan Egan. That's Dewey Egan's older brother. 8 sets of brothers between these two teams. McCann wheels down the alley against the short stick. Looking to set the pick for Chris Kavanaugh. Irish working a two-man game from X. Kavanaugh setting the pick. McCann, his pass, knocked down by Matt Wright. Comes back to the Irish. Here's Jake Taylor. He's not a Dodger. Shot clock down to 4, down to 3. Taylor to the rack and scores. I take it back.
That was a really good defensive set for North Carolina, right? You get them down to the last 10 seconds in the shot clock. You get it to Taylor behind the cage. Frankenheimer actually meets him off that pick. And it's this move here when he gets a little too aggressive, pushing him out. He loses his footing, and Taylor, no angle, puts the Irish up 2-1 in South Bend. Probably hard to keep them under control given how fiery they are, but man, like they've transformed Notre Dame as a program. I think everyone always thought defense, scheme. Not anymore, right? Since then, they've now had bona fide superstars on the offensive side of the field.
We got a withholding against North Carolina, and there's the ride by Pat Kavanaugh.
Right on cue.
Chris is the youngest of all the siblings. There's 6 of them all together. Can you imagine what it was like for him in the backyard?
No. But again, I think that it speaks through with his personality and the way that he plays.
Here's Pat Kavanaugh. Krieg saw that all the way. Saves, strong outlet. Barton, he's a threat in transition. Kavanaugh trailing him. They got Dobson on defense. Schwartz the other way. Entman kicks it back toward the crease, loose in front. We got a flag down. It's going to be on Carolina. Now Boyer threading the sideline, trips. Another flag goes up. And we'll clean up the carnage. Two-man advantage now for one of the best extra man units in the country.
Right here. And look, this is actually a really smart play from Entman to keep the ball in play because he wasn't going to win the race to the end line. And right here, we're going to see a slash. I'm not quite saw it. And then there's the push clearly in the back from Tillman. You just can't compound errors, right? I think maybe a bad break on the slash here for North Carolina. But now going 2 men down against this Notre Dame offensive unit is a challenge.
Taylor over to Chris Kavanaugh. Back up top, Pat Kavanaugh. It comes to Chris Kavanaugh. Low to high, a Blarney blast. It's 3-1.
When you think about the Kavanaugh brothers, Pat Kavanaugh setting all kind of assist records. Chris Kavanaugh has stepped in as the outside shooter on this man-up unit. The deception, the low to high near side, virtually impossible to stop. Typically when a shooter drops their stick, they're going far post. Kavanaugh snaps the wrist. And that didn't look like a golf swing with the hip movement, the wrists breaking at the same time to generate the power and accuracy. He nets his 32nd goal of his sophomore campaign.
Chris Kavanaugh coming off a 5-goal outburst last time against Duke. He's improved everywhere from his freshman season. Tyre wins the faceoff, and Notre Dame will give Carolina that. You're going to win a faceoff, win it back. The Irish want to limit transition opportunities off faceoff wins.
I mean, that's exactly it, right? Notre Dame's going to be comfortable in their 6-on-6 defensive sets. They know they need to prevent North Carolina from excelling at what they do well, which is pushing in transition, creating chaos. And so if you lose the faceoff, to your point, fine, get it to Krieg and Cage, and we'll drop back and ride, maybe win the ball back, but not give you an opportunity to score in unsettled situations.
Antonio DeMarco. Now it's Johnny Schwartz. He's been battling an injury, returned last week, didn't play a whole lot against Syracuse.
Really was just on the offensive man-up unit, right? This is kind of his first game since coming back where he's been involved in the 6-on-6.
Well-timed slide by Notre Dame. Egan gave it up. Tevlin picked it off. And now Brian Tevlin, the former Yale captain, down the alley. Picked up by Geppert. You talk about the intangibles for Notre Dame this season. It starts with Tevlin. One of the most impactful transfers, does everything on the field, but maybe more so his leadership off the field.
He's a captain. A fifth-year transfer is Notre Dame, gets another. Tevlin, again, he pushes in transition, and you typically think, all right, we're coming off the field. He just went sneak mode and stayed on the field, down on the goal line, extended. And North Carolina loses it, but right here you can see Tevlin starts it off with a nice defensive interception. And Tevlin gets rewarded for the great defensive play.
A former Yale captain and a man of all seasons. Attack, offensive midfield, short stick D-midi, face-off wing. He'll play the pole when he needs to. And oh, by the way, he and Ross Bergmaster lead the team out on the field. He plays the bagpipes, too. Kevin Corrigan found out when they were recruiting Tevlin in the transfer portal that he played the bagpipes, and all of a sudden he said, wait a minute, this is a perfect marriage.
Was there anywhere else he could consider going at that point? You don't play the bagpipe, really, the reason to be on Notre Dame's lacrosse team, right? To go.
Well, talking to Ross Bergmaster a few weeks ago, he said normally what happens is whoever the outgoing senior that plays the bagpipes is, they will leave the bagpipes in the locker of another player, and you have no idea. And so most guys have never played the instrument before, and if it's in your locker at the end of the season, you're now the next bagpiper. Tevlin had been playing it for a long time. That's a shot and a save.
Here we go. Look at Kavanaugh's putting on the ground.
And getting back in a rifle from Griffin Westland. 5-1 Notre Dame.
This all starts with number 51, Pat Kavanaugh. There's no quit. Right here, a nice save from Krieg. Comes out, controls the ground ball. But look, there he is. Out of nowhere, puts the ball on the deck. Krieg is out of the cage. And Notre Dame, Griffin Westland has the easy part. 5-1. Notre Dame rolling.
For the Irish, last week when the committee released its top 10 rankings, not the poll. The polls don't matter anymore. And they use RPI, they use strength of schedule. Notre Dame was sitting as the 1 seed last week. They had the bye. So assuming nothing has changed on that front, you start to survey the landscape. I got a feeling it's going to be hard to knock off any of the ACC teams from the top 3, maybe 4 seeds. They're probably set in stone. But if you can get the 1, there is a considerable advantage in being the 1 seed versus even a 2 or 3 in terms of getting to championship weekend. Since the tourney expanded in 2003, 18 out of 19 times the 1 seed has reached the semifinals.
Look, I think number one, I think getting that first game tends to be maybe a little bit easier than what you're doing as a 2, 3, 4, 5 seed, right? It's all about how healthy you're going to be. Teams get banged up, so if you can get a little bit more rest and you don't have to go to a game that's a back and forth physical affair, like your team's going to be ready in the quarterfinals. And again, look, I think most years you can tell who the number 1 seed is, right? And right now I think Notre Dame's filling that role. Like, to me, when you watch them play, Coach Corrigan's like, we played 3 bad quarters all season. No other team can say that, especially against the competition that Notre Dame has faced.
And it's what you hear from the other ACC coaches, too. They all tell you, This is the best Notre Dame team they've seen. This is Kevin Corrigan's best Notre Dame team. And the history of the program, they've done everything except get to the very top of the mountain. They've been to championship games. They've been to Final Fours. They've won league titles. They've been the #1 team in the country. Last year, they were robbed. Let's call it what it was. They were robbed. They should have been in the NCAA tournament. Didn't get the chance. That has fueled an offseason of focus and purpose, and we've seen it play out on the field.
Sports tend to work out, right? You look at like Virginia basketball losing the first round. Next year, they go on an unbelievable run where they had like 0% chance to win twice in 2 different games. Coming into this season, you looked at Notre Dame's roster, and what happened to them last year?
This could be disastrous. Hagstrom picks it up right on the doorstep, and he scores. Carolina can't clear. The Irish bench erupting. Those green helmets, those green lids shining, even with overcast skies. It is 6-1, and Notre Dame looking every bit the part of a #1 seed.
They just do it all, right? And look, their weakness is probably at the face-off X, right? And I don't even know if it's a weakness. It's not a strength. Well, Hagstrom's got 2 goals, right? So today they're putting it on the field. Look, this was a game right there again. Kavanaugh in the middle of it on the ride. Hagstrom here, your face-off man, stays on the field, picks it up, finishes it 1-0. Look, this was 1-1, and I made a comment. Look, it looks like North Carolina is dictating the pace of play. That changed, right? And it's changed through the hard-nosed, grinded-out type of play Notre Dame implements in the middle of the field as a riding attack unit.
Joe Bresci's big concern this week, 51-50. Forget about the offense and what they can do when they've got the ball. But those two on the ride, and they have impacted this game with the ride big time in this first quarter.
And look, I think your mindset there, right? It's like you can only do so much as a defense against talented players. Right, but gosh, like the expectations, you can clear the ball over 90%. And they're just not doing it. And again, the Kavanaughs never take a play off. It's remarkable.
North Carolina, 2 failed clears, 6 turnovers in the opening quarter. Here's James Matten. The freshman was a game-time decision. He did not start. Getting in there for UNC. Now Egan against Marco Napolitano. Well-timed double. Egan ambushed, devoured, loose ball. And we'll get a loose ball push on Notre Dame. It stays with Carolina. The shot clock resets to 60. 1:11 to go in the quarter. Harrison Schertzinger now coming down the alley against Ramsey. Spins it to the middle.
Just not a lot of matchups where you feel like North Carolina is going to make Notre Dame sweat.
Egan from the outside. Napolitano altered it.
I'd like to see North Carolina do a little bit more 2-man game behind the cage, set some picks, try to get a matchup advantage.
Nice move by Matten. He lost the ball. It comes to Ramsey. He's got 3 goals on the season. Good recovery by UNC to get the ball back. 34 seconds to go. 5 unanswered for Notre Dame.
But if you're North Carolina, go back to that pick game. Right there, Matten got his step, didn't finish it. Create some confusion, because again, if it's just off the whistle, hey, we're dodging 1-on-1 against the long sticks, Notre Dame's favored in those matchups.
Joe Bresci wanted to see some more through passes as well. We haven't seen a whole lot of that either.
It's hard to get those through passes, though, if Notre Dame's not worried about you as a dodger, right? And right there, they're going to give up that shot. Entenmann's too good in the cage.
Entenmann looks okay after taking one off the left shoulder in warm-ups. Ramsey fires low, saved Krieg. Quarter 1 comes to an end. Colin Hagstrom, the face-off man for Notre Dame, getting the start today. Had not scored a goal in his career, so he scores 2 in the opening 15 minutes. Shiny helmets, fire uniforms, and Notre Dame coming out with some heat, up 6-1 after 15 minutes.
In this game.
Right place, right time, and Hagstrom, who has won 3 out of 5. Takes the opening face-off of the second quarter against Tyre. And Notre Dame wins another. The Irish overall 5 for 9. If Carolina can't win the face-off battle, I'm not sure they've got a chance, frankly.
I don't know if anyone really has a chance against Notre Dame if they maintain possession the majority of the game. Right? Like, games where they don't win face-offs, you got a chance. They're winning face-offs and everything else they have. Their units are just too good top to bottom.
Go back to the fourth quarter of their game at Syracuse. Cuse had a 1-goal lead, and Notre Dame started playing make it, take it. I don't think Syracuse saw the ball for 9 minutes. Here's McCann inside, lost it in traffic. Krieg clamps down. The Kavanaughs do not give up. Chris Kavanaugh chasing Barton, who gets rid of it to Welford. Harry Welford, grad transfer from Bucknell. Played high school lacrosse in Missouri. Post-grad year at Avon Old Farms in Connecticut. All right, Matt, 6-on-6. How does North Carolina generate some good shots? Well, that wasn't it. It's DeMarco, ball loose near the crease. McGovern able to come away with it.
They're going to have to attack the short sticks, and whether that's an attackman doing a two-man behind where they switch and they get an advantage, or you look to DeMarco, who's one of the top recruits last year, who has shown promise. You watch him, he's missing something right now. He's got to find it, but he's got all the skill in the world to turn it around.
Welford forced that one against Boyer, and now you're seeing hero ball guys maybe pressing a little bit.
Coach Bresci talked about jamming it inside when we talked to him earlier this week. They haven't done that, right? Really, I don't think we've seen any passes to the interior where Notre Dame actually has shown some slippage. You know, Virginia was able to capitalize on a lot of off-ball movement inside. And so they thought that could be an opportunity for them, and we're just not seeing that come to fruition just yet.
Henry Schertzinger, there's a skip pass. Tillman, left hand, his shot blocked.
I don't think I've ever seen any blocks in a game, right? We had the Duke-Syracuse, or was it Duke-Syracuse early in the year? As Notre Dame picks up where Duke hit the post 15 times. I feel like there's been 6 shots deflected.
Well, you just saw another area there where North Carolina couldn't capitalize as Harris takes it to the rack, shoots high. Who's that stretch shooter? You miss a Sean Goldsmith in that spot. Again, that's not really Tillman's game to be a threat from that far out. Last year, a couple of years ago, you had Anderson, Perry, guys you had to respect from 15 yards.
Yep. Yeah, look, I think offensively, they're missing a few pieces, right? Look, they're tough, and they're going to battle. They're not going to give up. They just don't make you sweat a lot.
That one wide by Simmons, the Virginia transfer. It's been all Irish. First of 2 meetings over the next 3 weeks between these two teams. Notre Dame has a trip in between to Charlottesville. Carolina has a bye. And then they'll host Notre Dame in Chapel Hill. Chris Kavanaugh spins it back. Taylor misfires. And for Carolina, again, RPI in that teen range. Right around 15. This is a good look here. Kavanaugh, Chris Kavanaugh buries it. It's 7-1, and to finish the point for Carolina, this is a bubble team. Could they get in if they lose twice to Notre Dame? Possibly, maybe. It seems like a long shot. A lot would have to go right if they want to be safe. I think if they beat Notre Dame once, they're good.
You would think so, right? They would have one of the best wins, if not the best win in the country, with one of those right there. And right now, it doesn't seem like today may be that day. But Notre Dame, if we look at Chris Kavanaugh here, doing a nice job being a patient dodging attackman there off the pick. I called a game of his actually in high school, and he was a high recruit. I'm like, hey, does he got it? And man, his physical maturity, his athleticism it's grown leaps and bounds since, what oftentimes happens, I guess, when you go from high school to college. But he's been special.
You get the meal plan. That's what happens. Flag down. It's going to be on Notre Dame.
There are 6 Notre Dame players converging on Trier there. Like, they're everywhere.
Hey, Griffey. Nice job, Trier.
Ball's on White. Number 4, push with possession. 30 seconds. White 4, push, 30 seconds.
Penalties on Hagstrom, the faceoff man, number 4 in white.
But look here, right? Now, look at all Notre Dame. I mean, like, they are vicious. Like, they're a pack of dogs. Whenever that ball's in the ground, they're going to have more of their players near it than your team.
Carolina on the season, 39% with the extra man. McGovern cans it. His 5th EMO goal of the season. UNC's leading scorer puts an end to what was a 6-0 Notre Dame run.
McGovern here, nice job. Feeling out Notre Dame's defense. They're slow to slide. And he does a nice little shoulder drop that gets Entenmann, who does have a tendency to lower his hands, to drop his stick enough where he's able to put the ball in the top portion of the cage with a little angle.
McGovern, a young man who battles cystic fibrosis, a rare disease that impacts cells that produce your mucus, sweat, digestive juices. And he's worked a lot with Boomer Esiason's son, Gunnar Esiason, as an athlete advocate. Gunnar Esiason famously was also born with cystic fibrosis. And what they do, Matt, they've encouraged living an active lifestyle. Here comes Henry Schertzinger out of the box. Steps on the brakes, gives it up. Now it's Lance Tillman.
And this is a matchup they should attack here. Egan matched up against a short stick.
There's the slide.
And now things can open up for North Carolina.
Tillman lost the handle, loose ball. Harris vacuums. Notre Dame's slides have been timed almost impeccably so far today. Nick Harris getting healthy in the bye week. Didn't play in the win against Duke 2 weeks ago. Dobson jogs on with Riley Gray and McCann, the midfield for Notre Dame. And Dobson picked up by Evan Egan, who did a nice job for most of the game on Joey Spallina last week. Dobson drew the double, didn't get anything on the pass. Loose ball, Egan off the ground. Into the stick of Ty English, and he can go. He's having a breakout season, part of that rope unit. Now Alex Bresci, and Carolina, again, that was an opportunity maybe to go unsettled. Instead, it's a 50-50 ball. Notre Dame has won the ground ball battle handily, out of bounds. It will stay with UNC, 9:23 to go in the second.
And I'd love to see Ty English. I think he's got unbelievable potential. Great athlete in the middle of the field. Great offensive skills. Playing him as a D-midi. Like, he is built for this North Carolina program. And I'd love to see him push a little bit more in transition. Maybe try to be a little bit more aggressive in those opportunities, because he has all the talent.
English setting the pick for Egan. Pinballs off of Bergmaster. Here's the skip pass. Welford bounce shot off the crossbar. Rolling toward midfield. Schertzinger had it. He got ambushed. English has it. That's a shot clock reset. It hit the crossbar. And now a chance for North Carolina. English the other way. Dumps it back. Matt Cyclones out of trouble and scores. How about James Matten, the freshman? 10 straight games with a point. And that's 2 straight for UNC.
Ty English making an impact there on the ground ball. Pushing in transition. Right here now he draws. Right, Notre Dame now has to commit. And then Matten, the key there, he doesn't stop his feet. Oftentimes the point man, to their detriment, catches it with their feet stuck in mud. Matten there does a nice job. Just fluid, right? I mean, how smooth did that look there from the freshman?
You said it earlier. North Carolina thrives in chaos.
Look, I called the Duke game earlier on this year, and they were down big. And they went on a run in the middle. They were down, I think, by about the same amount they are right now, and got it back to a 1-goal game. right? All through chaotic behavior in the middle of the field.
Chris Fake, another Yale transfer, former Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year. Entenmann launches it downfield on a fly to Pat Cavanaugh. Now Chris Cavanaugh from X. Pat Cavanaugh 4 points away from 200 for his career as an assist so far.
He should have 3 assists with those ground balls caused on the rides, right? I know it's not going to go on the score sheet, but
hockey assist.
Look, I think the best players make an impact even when they're not lighting up the scoreboard. And I mean, that's Pat Cavanaugh every week.
Every week.
And it usually is the scoreboard too, but
had 8 points against Duke. He's had at least 3 in every game. And we get a whistle. That is going to be over and back. Egan goes to work on Napolitano. Egan's got one of the 3 Carolina goals. Matten picked up by Chris Conlon, Holy Cross transfer, who led the nation in caused turnovers per game 2 years in a row. Gallagher against the short stick Ramsey. Gallagher only 3 of 18 shooting entering the game. Egan's got the short stick matchup. It's Tevlin. Egan working on the former Yale captain. Rolls inside. Entenmann bodies it. Makes the save and a flag. We'll get a push on Tevlin.
Point 12. Push 30 seconds. Point 12, 30.
Dewey Egan played his high school lacrosse out of the San Francisco area for Advance. Program that's run by former UVA Chris Rotelli. Right there, a nice job with the inside roll. He's such a big body. What I'd like to see there potentially is to make that inside roll and dive away from the goal mouth to create some more angle, because when you're that close with a goalie like Entenmann, you need to create a little bit more net to shoot at.
Schertzinger missed the cage. That was a big issue last week for Carolina against Syracuse. They outshot Syracuse pretty handily in the first half of that game, just couldn't put much on cage. And even last year against Notre Dame, UNC shot 5 for 45 in that game. Gallagher over to Welford. Henry Schertzinger. Carolina continues to probe the outside, and now we're back to even strength. McGovern, Schertzinger, Entenmann saw it all the way, cancels it. Now Notre Dame against the UNC ride. Pat Cavanaugh comes back to help. Tireless motor on 51. Cavanaugh. That's a low grounder. Gebert, the Brown transfer, scooped it, lost it. It's Chris Cavanaugh who comes up with the GB. And a timeout by Kevin Corrigan. 5:36 to go. Probably wanted to rest his 2 Cavanaughs who were playing a little defense. Notre Dame out in front by 4.
Got 2 of the best in the biz. And being able to play a little bit of defense, a little bit of offense.
I'm going to bet at least one ends up on the Redwoods. That's where all the Notre Dame players go. Here's Dobson. He had 4 goals against UNC last year. That was with the right hand off the pipe. And he's not just a one-trick pony with the left hand. He can shoot with the right. He's become a much better passer. Pat Cavanaugh over to McCann. Ouch. People are getting hit. There's going to be some welts and ice baths afterwards. They have a cryo center around here.
It's the Midwest. You can just step outside.
Kevin Corrigan tells me anytime I bring up the South Bend weather. That's just a myth and a narrative that you people spew.
No.
You live in Chicago, so you can say that.
I can say it's not a myth, not a narrative. Nothing like 70 degrees and then about 6 inches of snow the next day.
This is Ryan Levy. His mom, Jenny, legendary head coach for the Carolina women's program. 3 national championships. Dewey Egan working on Chris Fink. Gallagher against Harris. Levy's got the short stick, Harris. 2 goals on the season. Feeds inside, and it's Harrison Schertzinger for the tally. And quietly, that's 3 in a row for Carolina.
And a nice offensive set for the Tar Heels. They did a nice job. Gallagher forced the slide for Notre Dame. Then we get Levy with a matchup against a short stick, and Notre Dame falls asleep on the interior there. And Schertzinger finds himself wide open on the doorstep. Again, when you make teams slide, that off-ball defense gets a lot more challenging because you're rotating in and out, you're sprinting, you're tired. It opens up a lot for the offense.
And that's the first time today, really, when Carolina has made Notre Dame pay for sliding. And that's going to be against UNC. Looked like a loose ball push. So possession to Notre Dame. Less than 4 minutes to go in the first half. It was 6-1 Notre Dame after 1 quarter. Carolina on the bubble. Helped last night with Rutgers losing. Denver did beat Providence. This one taken away by UNC. A chance in transition. Geppert feeds the crease. Shot, score. That's Levy. And UNC has swung the pendulum. It's 7-5.
North Carolina in the midst of a 4-goal run, getting themselves back in the contest. The man-up goal there. English to Matten, the freshman with a smooth release. And right here, Levy to Schertzinger. And then in the middle of the field, a nice job in transition. Notre Dame sloughs off the low wing. Levy gets it, gets his hands free, takes 1 step up the field. He gets the 4th in a row for the Tar Heels.
This is a team that can come back quickly. And they've gotten a couple of transition goals in this run. Big ground ball off the faceoff, punched ahead by Will Donovan. Donovan escapes with it. Plays it back to Tevlin. Second to midfield, Tevlin, Jack Simmons, and the 6'4" sophomore, 26 in white, Jalen Seymour from Long Island. Tevlin, inside roll. Faked out the goalie, hit the pipe. Race to the sideline. Kavanaugh was sandwiched. That was Pat. Somebody lost a stick, and that's going to be a procedure call, playing without equipment. It belongs to UNC. 2:43 to go. There's a chance for UNC to maybe even draw even. They've got the momentum before halftime.
Outside a few minutes where they made some bad mistakes in the clearing game, North Carolina's been solid. They played a good game.
DeMarco fights his way through a triple team. What's changed for UNC?
Look, I think it's possession of the ball, right? They've cleaned up their clearing errors. They're batting a little bit more on the ground balls, but it's the offensive patience that they're doing, and they're making Notre Dame work a little bit. Right? They've identified the short stick matchups. We've seen Levy, we've seen Egan. Right? They're not trying to have McGovern run by fake.
Levy has had a hand in the last two. Bouncer. That one got the stick of Entenmann. It resets the shot clock. And DeMarco will trigger from X on the invert. And they will adjust DeMarco's helmet. DeMarco will dodge against Ramsey. Matten's got a goal today. Pedals to the middle. Matten stops. Bouncer offline. Backed up by Egan. Plenty of time to shoot. Egan now picked up by Fake. Matten and Conlon exchanging body blows. Matt lowers the shoulder. DeMarco tried to set the pick, and he had the switch with Ramsey. He gives it up.
Then you got to get the ball back to Matten here. He's got the short stick matchup. Good time for North Carolina to attack.
Almost a penalty against Ramsey. Matten backing him down. Almost a warning off on Matten. Had the ball for a long time. Now it's Egan. Fires. No good. 8 to shoot. DeMarco will trigger it in. Terrific defense by the shorty Ramsey.
It was a heck of a stand there by Ramsey, a freshman.
DeMarco looking for the cutter, and Schertzinger. That's a shot clock violation. And this will be a quick restart for Notre Dame.
And this is a problem here for North Carolina.
Tevlin never had control of it, gives it up, and comes back to Evan Egan. Krieg sets up the clear. 40 seconds to go before halftime. English, he scored in 4 straight. English all the way, plays it to the wing, to the pole. And a timeout by Joe Bresci to calm things down. 30 seconds to go. Joe Bresci understands the value of this possession at this juncture.
Some possessions are more important than others. And right now, if North Carolina gets a goal here, I mean, talk about momentum going into halftime. Right? Goals in the last minute of every quarter are worth more. Right? Especially when you were down 6 goals. Right? To get it back to 1, you start to believe. The energy is different in the halftime locker room. North Carolina had their momentary lapse, right? But they credit the coaching staff for having to take a step back, identify where the issues were, and fix them.
It was 7-1 Notre Dame earlier in this quarter. Carolina has responded with a 4-0 run. They've got the ball. For the Irish, only 1 loss this season at home to Virginia. And Notre Dame right now in the mix for that number 1 seed right there with Duke. I think Virginia, at least at the moment, is below those 2. And North Carolina, this is a team that is on the bubble, but they have opportunity. Notre Dame, number 1 in the polls, that doesn't matter. Number 2 in the RPI. Carolina plays Notre Dame twice. If you get one of those when you start looking at the bubble, Carolina already has a Johns Hopkins win. If you beat Notre Dame at least once, that's 2 top 5 wins, something Rutgers doesn't have, something Syracuse doesn't have, something Villanova doesn't have.
Coach Bresci said, look, guys, we have everything in front of us still. Right? There are seasons where it's lost. Not the case for the Tar Heels here. They are playing for their playoff lives. And it's showing. But they had every reason to pack up the bus and leave. Right in the first quarter with just some of the carelessness that was ongoing, right? Like, those were some pretty sloppy goals. But, man, they've figured it out here and have played a heck of a second quarter.
Ryan Levy will trigger in the final 30 seconds. Napolitano pressing out in the restraining area. DeMarco setting the pick. And now they get the switch. The short stick Harris picks up Levy. A goal and an assist. Both on Carolina's last 2 tallies. Final 10 seconds. Egan coming around. Saved by Entenmann. Loose in front. Fake has it. Launches toward the goal. Kavanaugh picks it up. Saved by Krieg. And that brings us to halftime. 30 minutes in the books in South Bend. Spring football to follow at the famous stadium. Not too far from here. But this lacrosse team number 1 in the country, eyeing a number 1 seed, up by 2 at the break.
Levy buries in the unsettled situation.
Possessions between quarter 1 and quarter 2. A stark difference. In that first quarter, Notre Dame +7 on shots. Carolina +7 in the second quarter. Tar Heels have not had much transition off of any face-off wins, and face-offs pretty much even. Dangerous throw. Connor Marr, the former All-American, brings it in. Carolina will go to work on offense. First midfield is Antonio DeMarco, Harry Welford, and Henry Schertzinger. And the rain has started here in South Bend. Tillman 4 assists last time over to McGovern. His man-up goal started the 4-0 spurt by UNC.
And look for North Carolina to go back to identifying the short stick matchups. Now Notre Dame slid. Now they're going to have an opportunity.
Tillman against McCann. Not much on the shot. McGovern the backup. I think once North Carolina gets Notre Dame sliding, you don't want the first person getting that pass to then reinitiate. I think it's another pass, right? So it's a dodge, pass, and then reattack, because then you're really shifting the side of the field, which makes it more challenging on the defensive side. Two-man game again. McGovern and DeMarco. Now Schertzinger. Here comes Egan. He's got the short stick. DeMarco's got the shorty. There's the slide. DeMarco spun around. Good recovery by Notre Dame. Egan again with the short stick. Ramsey coming around X. Over to Schertzinger. Shot fake. Jump shot. He passed up. Now 15 to shoot. Tillman to Schertzinger from the wing. No angle. Shot clock into single digits. McGovern. Save. Entenmann. Notre Dame's defense just did not yield that opening. And look, North Carolina was patient on offense. I mean, that's a good quality shot. Yeah, McGovern, probably your best offensive player with his hands free. And look, I actually love that shot. The goal is open. Entenmann. They got to get it over. This is going to be a shot clock violation. Now an opportunity to push here in transition. Get your eyes up. Entenmann retreats into the cage. One more. Here's Tillman. He's got Egan on the doorstep. He shoots instead. And it's Tevlin winning the race to the end line. Notre Dame ball. A missed opportunity there by Carolina. Schertzinger missed Egan. There was one more pass opportunity there, and he would have had a 1-on-0 with Entenmann in the cage. Credit Notre Dame for getting back in the hole, making it a tough decision, but one North Carolina wishes they could have back. Now Jake Taylor, 4 straight multi-goal games. He has been the complement to the two Kavanaughs on attack. He doesn't need the ball a whole lot. Excellent at finding open spaces, and the Kavanaughs seem to do a nice job of finding him. That's what changed for Notre Dame last year. They put Taylor into the starting lineup at attack. They didn't lose. They didn't lose. They've lost once since he's been in the starting lineup in the last 2 years. Chris Kavanaugh off the deflected pass. Quick release. And the back up to Gray. Rain continuing to come down. Pat to his brother Chris. Plays it back to Pat Kavanaugh. 15 to shoot. Shot clock down to 6. Dobson, he's got to go. Shoulders into Egan. Chris Kavanaugh. And that's a shot clock violation. Rain again starting to really pick up here at Arlotto. Another player hit in front of the cage. Tevlin. Dubner ambush near the midline, and he went over and back. You can only do that in the first 20 seconds of the shot clock, and that shot clock was under 60. Chris Kavanaugh to Dobson, gets inside, slam dunk, 8-5 Irish.
Get the fuck up, boy. Let's go.
The third goal of the game for Notre Dame as a result of a failed clear for North Carolina. Chris Kavanaugh finds Dobson, the big body who does a nice job. Again, it's these extra steps. Look, forces Krieg to come off the post, increase the amount of cage that is now unprotected by the solid goalkeeper Krieg, and Dobson gets his first of the afternoon.
Krieg, 6 out of 14 in goal today. He's been below 50% in every ACC game. In fact, 36% in conference play. Joe Bresci said he needs to play a little bit better. Some of those numbers skewed. North Carolina's style sometimes leads to unsettled opportunities, which is not the easiest on a goalie.
If you're going to play high-tempo defensive lacrosse and really extend out, at times your goalie gets left out to dry. And again, I've watched a number of North Carolina games. I don't think it's ever stood out like Krieg was struggling. I don't know if he's been great, but he hasn't been the problem, right? And that's a much worse situation to be in.
Very true.
For a lacrosse program.
Tillman against Conlon, picked up by the short stick. 5 goals from 5 different players for Carolina.
If you're North Carolina here, I go back to Tillman, one of your attackmen, one of your better dodgers, matched up against a short stick. I invert him, I put him behind the cage.
Tillman against Parlett, now picked up by Bergmaster. Issues probing this Notre Dame defense. Henry Schertzinger now trying to get the step on Parlett. That's Egan, excuse me. That's a save. It's a new 60 if Carolina can come up with it. They do. They had it for a moment. And McGovern saves it. New shot clock. Had a chance to go to work. Oh, that was a step-down opportunity for Schwartz. He could not catch it clean. Tillman from the alley, feeding the doorstep. Oh, they had the man. Egan. Now it's DeMarco off the scramble. Spins away from Boyer. Back to McGovern. McGovern feeds the crease. Schwartz falling down. Boyer comes up with it. And it goes back to Carolina. And this now turns into a long defensive possession.
Look, if I'm North Carolina, I think they've got Notre Dame sliding a bit more. What I don't think they're doing well is attacking the opposite side. Whenever they're dodging the slide, they keep dodging right back into where the congestion is. Right? When the team starts sliding, it's critically important to start attacking the backside, because that's where the space is now opening up. When everyone overloads one side, where's your opportunity? It's on the back.
Basketball concept, ball reversal.
Right? And I just don't think North Carolina is doing that efficiently enough. As they've started to identify the matchups against a short stick where they're actually making Notre Dame slide.
McGovern picked up by Chris Fake, former All-American, national champion at Yale. Tillman goes to work on Parlett, gets the step, picked up by Ramsey, finds Egan right on the doorstep. 6'4" target, and Dewey Egan cashes in.
That was a good possession for North Carolina. A long possession, right? This is a tired Notre Dame defense. Basically 3 cycles of the shot clock had wound down. And a nice athletic play from Egan, showing the soft hands. And one fluid motion in and out of his stick quickly gave Entman no opportunity to get a read on the release.
Joe Bresci has told us in the past there's a lot of promise for Dewey Egan in his career at North Carolina. Missed some time with a broken hand he suffered against Johns Hopkins. 2 goals last week, 2 today. It's late in the season, but if that's a piece that is starting to scratch the surface and realizing his potential, that's another weapon for Carolina. They're having trouble with the clear here. Harrison Schertzinger just gets it across with a second to spare.
We made the point earlier in the game that if Trier's winning the faceoff going back towards the goalie, Notre Dame's like, yes. Like, they're making it really hard.
Hold on a second, Matt. The weather.
It's snowing?
What happened? It was 55. We didn't need a jacket when we showed up. What happened?
It's called the Midwest. This is what I live with.
Wintry mix now. It was rain a moment ago. Matt and whiffs. It's picked up by Conlon. Took a big hit from Levy. Loose. And Entenmann, cat-like out of the cage.
I mean, this is just the spring. You know, this is what we were used to. My son's touch football game last week. It was 70 the day before. On Sunday, it was 36 and raining, and none of the kids finished the game. They were all crying. I mean,
It's April 22nd.
Correct. It just devastates my golf game.
You did not bring the clubs on this trip, right?
They're in my car.
They're in the car.
Yeah. Don't leave home without them.
Pat Cavanaugh's got the short stick English. Eyes up. Feeds the crease, finds Westland. Second assist for Pat Cavanaugh. He is Notre Dame's all-time leader in assists. In fact, he has authored the 3 highest assist totals in a single season at South Bend.
Right here, Cavanaugh, the big goal, the nice vision to Westland, who gets his second in the game to stretch the lead to 3.
Of the ACC Women's Lacrosse Championship begins tomorrow. We've got a doubleheader. Of course, we will see Carolina beginning Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern from Charlotte, North Carolina. And Ryan Levy, his mom Jenny, the legendary head coach for the UNC women's team. She coaches Team USA, 3 national championships. Ryan's dad, Dan, played men's lacrosse at Carolina, and Ryan Levy had a big part in this Carolina comeback, assisting on one, scoring another. It was a 7-1 Notre Dame game at one point. It's 9-6. Pat Cavanaugh and Griffin Westland for the last tally. And we mentioned Andrew Tyre needed to have an impact on this game. Has not had a chance to do that at the Face-Off X. He wins that one. Technically a face-off win for Carolina. What happens? Notre Dame rides it back.
It's unbelievable how they just converge on the ball. I mean, there was 4 within the blink of an eye. Tyre turns around and is like, you're not going anywhere. You were engulfed.
It's why face-off numbers, especially when the opponent is Notre Dame, it doesn't tell the whole story. Notre Dame, most of the time, they haven't had great face-off numbers, but they're still able to win the possession battle because of what you just saw.
No question, they are the best team in the country on the turning the face-off into a scrap.
Chris Cavanaugh to McCann, saved by Krieg. We need a better metric, because what you see, and here we go, here's the ride. It's Cavanaugh and Barton. Krieg pounces to come up with it. Now he works the sideline. Flips it across to Schwartz. Carolina will run. Schwartz all the way. Nobody picks him up. Entenmann saves it. And now Entenmann scampers out of the cage. Krieg retreats back in. McCann, skip pass. Gray brings it in with one hand. Flag down. Chris Cavanaugh puts his hands up, signaling pump the brakes.
It's going to be an offsides here on North Carolina.
Carolina's got 7 guys on defense. At this point, might as well keep them out there. Dobson. Would have been something if he scored 6 on 7. At the end of the Syracuse-Carolina game, on UNC's last possession, Syracuse was offsides, and they threw a flag. Carolina, I'm not sure if they saw it because it was behind the play. There wasn't much time left. I walked away thinking, why don't more teams do that? Because that's a delayed call, and then if you don't score, time runs out. It's not like you can add time back like in football.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All about the moment, the time of the game.
How about Jake Taylor? Did you have Jake Taylor with 2 dodging goals on your bingo card?
No. Definitely one was not a dodge on a man up. But Taylor does a nice job here ducking underneath. Right, Westland over to him now. North Carolina extends the man down. And then a nice job walking the tightrope, staying outside the crease, diving away from the goal mouth. Do you see that little bend at the end? It just creates so much, and it's subtle, and it has to do with his balance and his understanding of how to maximize his shooting efficiencies. Jake Taylor, when he plays, he scores multiple goals.
He's done it in 5 straight. He missed the first 3 games of the year, coming off another torn ACL. Tore his ACL playing box last summer. Last year, he joined the team late, coming off an ACL in the other knee. And Carolina gives it right back to Notre Dame.
And if I'm North Carolina, Trier's winning the faceoffs. He's got to try to pop it forward. Going backwards isn't working anymore. Right? They're unable to break this Notre Dame ride.
Anseman flips it to Harris. Tevlin feeding Taylor. That's more of what you expect from him versus the dodge.
Would have given him that one.
Chris Kavanaugh gets free. Serpents around. And Krieg able to clean up. Carolina can exhale. English able to push transition. Notre Dame back. Here's Schwartz, Long Island kid. Same high school as Chris Gray. The 6'3" Matt. Over to Welford. Stick checked away by Donovan. Bodies flying. No flag. They'll let him play. McCann. Across midfield. Spins away from Barton. Westlin, who's got 2 goals. They tried the old hidden ball. McCann over to Pat Kavanaugh. Steps into one and cashes it in.
Notre Dame and North Carolina. It's getting physical. Right here, it's a nice job by Donovan, the freshman. Knocking the ball on the ground, picking it up. He pays the price. Right, he gets hit by Harry Welford. Actually, it's Dewey Egan who puts him on the ground. But Notre Dame gets the ground ball, pushes in transition. North Carolina was in trouble with Welford down and hurt. And then the nice 3-quarter bounce off the post. Perfect placement. Notre Dame is winning this game by doing what North Carolina loves, creating chaos, just better than they are. They seem to be a step faster, a little bit more athletic in the middle of the field.
3 points now for Pat Kavanaugh. He's had at least 3 in every game. North Carolina wanted a penalty that time on Chris Kavanaugh going after Tyre. rain has let up. The wintry mix has gone away.
Give it 5 minutes.
Okay. You know better than me. Down to a lighter drizzle now. Matt, not much on the shot. It looked like Tevlin got into it. Great outlet. Entenmann to Tevlin. Accelerates. Into the box. Over to Pat Cavanaugh. Spins away behind the back. Oh, even his misses make you pause.
In that instance, I think he actually had a better shot with his right hand, but you want him to do it because it opens up so much more in the other opportunities, right? And like it's just so fun to watch him play. The skill, the talent that he has. And again, like his freshman campaign, right? Good, but didn't have like the dramatic stuff that he does now. And then all of a sudden, sophomore year, wow. And kind of the same for his brother Chris, right? Freshman year, very good. Now it's great. And they're doing things that you just don't think lacrosse players should be able to do, and they do it on a consistent basis.
If you saw the relaxing piece with Kark at halftime, their inspiration growing up, the Thompson brothers, Lyle and Miles, and they tried to imitate and emulate in the backyard. Of course, their older brother, Matt, who I hear is here today. Great inspiration. One of the all-time greats to play for Kevin Corrigan. Pat Cavanaugh to Chris Cavanaugh, side of the net. Krieg cleans it up. Outlets to English. Can Carolina run? Final seconds. 2 seconds. And time ran out. I'm not sure English knew how much time was left. We've said their name a lot. We often do on a Notre Dame broadcast. Cavanaugh. Chris had an assist. Pat had an assist. Pat had a goal. Almost had a SportsCenter top 10 one there. Syracuse. What is the recipe for a comeback in this fourth quarter for Carolina?
You have to avoid the trouble that you've created for yourself in the clearing game, right? They've had 5 failed clears. 4 of them, I believe, have resulted in goals. That's the difference in the game.
Yeah.
Right? And so, again, like, Tryers had his opportunities. You got to push it forward now, right? Like, don't go back the other way. You're in trouble.
On cue. Geppert scoops up the ground ball. And if he did not, that would have been a layup for Notre Dame. Shenanigans from Marr and Schertzinger. It's Marr who has it. Matten against Napolitano. Now Egan, or rather Conlon. That was Egan and Napolitano. 21 and 30, both from San Diego, both from Torrey Pines High School, playing against each other. Tillman feeding the doorstep. McGovern denied by Entenmann. He's fine.
A nice job there from Entenmann, following the pass. A little bit of the scout.
Big round ball. It's Marr off the scramble. Carolina, can they push?
They need to capitalize on this right here.
Egan had a steam. Big right hand by Dewey Egan. He's got himself a hat trick. It's 11-7. If North Carolina can make this game chaotic, they got a chance to come back.
They've got to make up for the goals and the lack of clearing. And how do you do that in transition? Right there, nice job, both poles. Dropping down on Taylor, and now they push in transition. Notre Dame slow to go. And let's just look at this placement. That form is perfect. Peppers the far corner. Dewey Egan, his first career hat trick.
5 goals in 2 games. Now can Tyre do it? Yes. Wins the faceoff. We have some confusion here now.
I think I think North Carolina came out of the box too early, but there was a hold procedure on North Carolina prior to that. Yeah, the weather's definitely better now. See, you waited 5 minutes.
You called it, my friend. Whatever it is, ABC 7 Chicago, if you need a new meteorologist. Tillman's got the short stick, Tevlin. Terrific defense by Tevlin. Antonio DeMarco now. Shoots. That one turned away. Levy chasing it. Napolitano and Bergmaster in pursuit. It comes back to Matt. Tillman, one more. DeMarco, save Entenmann, a kick save. Another 60. Matt with a shot. Entenmann is there again to veto.
Not a bad sequence there from Entenmann. That first save against DeMarco was elite.
Matt, when you played and you're trying to come back and you get looks like that and the goalie stands on his head, is that demoralizing to an offense?
Deflating, yeah, for sure. Right? Like, you need everything to kind of go your way. And again, he didn't do anything wrong there, but you walk away with nothing. And when players make great plays, it's tough to overcome that, especially with the mistakes that have been made.
Chris Kavanaugh's got the short stick, Ty English. Let's see if Carolina slides. Kavanaugh coming around X. Back to McCann. Over to Riley Gray now. Allie Dodge. Peppers the back of the net. 12-7. It starts with the Entenmann sequence on one end, and then Notre Dame makes Carolina pay on the other.
Right here, we had a nice back-to-back save from Entenmann there on DeMarco, then on Matten. And then here, Riley Gray. One Krieg probably wants back in the cage. A low angle from Gray. A nice job getting it to the far post. But you got to match saves at this point if you're North Carolina.
It's Hagstrom who wins the draw. He has taken the majority of faceoffs today. Matt, if I told you the stat ledger has Carolina winning 15 out of 24 faceoffs, it doesn't feel like it, does it?
No. I mean, look at the Notre Dame team. Like, again, not great at the X. They don't really care, right? Against Duke, they didn't win the faceoff X. They had the ball the whole game. And so they are just so good at all the other things that makes up for it. As Dobson buries another. This was his calling card when he ended up in South Bend, known as a heavy-handed outside lefty shooter. This year, he's added some assists to the stat line, but again, no one better. Get out of the way. Hold on for dear life. When Dobson gets his hands free, he's going to make you pay.
6'5", 235 from Fleming Island, Florida. And you can't give him that much time and that much room. Will Lynch now taking this face-off for Notre Dame. Carolina switched it up with Graham Schwartz, the senior. And the Irish have it. We come up on 11 minutes to play. Later today, Virginia and Syracuse. Cavaliers have a loss to Maryland. They lost twice to Duke. They looked like a juggernaut early in the season. Syracuse, meanwhile, young team, a lot of freshmen. Finn Thompson, Joey Spallina, Michael Leo had the game winner against UNC last week. That's a team that's starting to grow up, and they've got a goalie who can steal a game for you.
He can steal a lot of games. He has been...
There is Dobson. Notre Dame pressing downhill. The lead is 7.
Just too much pressure and athleticism for the Fighting Irish right now. starting to win some face-off X, some battles of the face-off X, get in position. Right here, another goal off a loose ball, ground ball, right? And not only are they maintaining possession, they're making North Carolina pay, right? They're getting those ground balls. The next thing you know, the ball's in the back of the net. As Dobson nets back-to-back goals. His 6th hat trick of the season, 3rd straight.
Timeout, Joe Bresci. Dobson had 4 goals on 5 shots against UNC last year. 3 more today. The lead for Notre Dame is 7.
Some of the more they don't have a lot of experience, but with Kirst and Tom, like they're playing better, right? It's gonna be a tough matchup for them, but I do think that Syracuse is heading in the right direction.
Remember Syracuse early in the year too, almost beat Duke. That game went to overtime.
I think you look at every position group in that game. I think Virginia may have a little bit of an advantage, except in the cage.
Matthew Nunes, when he plays well, Virginia becomes almost impossible to beat. And in fairness to him, part of his game is what he does in the clearing game. It's not all saves, but I go back to the Maryland game. Kark and I called that one in College Park, or rather in Charlottesville. Well, that was a game where that game was decided on goalie play.
He's playing better. Early in the season, he'd let in 1 or 2 shots a game where you can't have that if you want to make a run. But if he plays like he did against Duke, the only reason they were in that game, the second matchup, was that he was standing on his head and was absolutely lights out. It's all about confidence. And I think he was shaken early in the year, but credit coach Kip Turner for getting him back in the right set of minds. And he has been playing good lacrosse. His best lacrosse his last time out.
You go back to that 2019 championship run. Alex Rode, who was the MOP championship weekend, was actually benched midseason.
I think their careers are pretty similar. Or there's an opportunity for it to be similar.
Dobson with a rocket.
Right, like Rode, kind of, the story wrote itself towards the end, but he was not great early on in his career. And again, Nunes was the rookie of the year in the ACC last year, right? Like, so he had a good rookie year, his freshman year. But this year, I think it's been a little struggle early on, but now he's finding himself. So I think the Cavaliers are happy with what they're seeing from him in a day in and day out basis.
Here is McCann, zigzags his way to the cage. 15-7, the route is on. And Matt, when you look at the top 3 in the ACC, Notre Dame, Duke, Virginia, is there anybody that you can see beating these teams in May? Maryland, maybe. We know they have the win against Virginia. I'm not sure I see a champion coming from somebody outside of that group right now.
Look, I think Maryland, with their ability to potentially dominate possession and obviously incredibly well coached, I think they can beat anybody. I think Cornell, right? I mean, look, when you have one of, right, if not maybe the best attackman in the country in Kirst, who's been great. You have Adler on defense, who's been the best defensive. Like, you can win games when you're that elite at those skill positions.
The question with Cornell, face-offs, they like to rotate 3 guys in there. There's not one, and you look at Naso, you look at LaSala. There's some elite face-off guys you potentially face, and then the middle of the field. That's where, to me, there's a market advantage with a Duke, with a Virginia, with a Notre Dame. Even a team like Carolina will have a big advantage in the middle of the field. Matten gets one back for the Heels.
Not a lot of teams winning national championships with face-off by committee. Right? They have that dominant person more often than not.
Trying to think of the last one that did, and you probably go back to 17, Maryland, and John Garino kind of came out of nowhere. He was in the doghouse.
Right.
And it started, I want to say, in the quarters or against Albany, where he started winning the faceoffs and kind of became the guy. But he was, the second or third faceoff guy for most of the season.
Right. And again, like Maryland, the year they lost to Virginia, Shockey was their main faceoff guy. Weirman kind of came out of nowhere in that game. And, right, like, it's been history since then that he's been a pretty impactful player, to say the least. Now, I do think it's important to have, like a matchup, change-up type person, right? Because sometimes you may not match up against this, and so you got to send someone in different. But if you're doing it because we don't have one person, very challenging.
Yeah. Less than 8 minutes to go. McGovern against Parlett. Carolina will have a week off following this game. And then they get Notre Dame at Chapel Hill. And assuming this score holds up, that's going to be a playoff game for UNC.
And look, I think for UNC, you look at this matchup, it's probably not going to go your way.
There's Matt, the freshman.
Finding something with Matt here. Right, he's been banged up. And he is seems to be kind of their alpha dodger that's finding his game here as he matures in his freshman campaign. But again, like North Carolina, outside of the clearing and the goals they've given up there, and the goals off ground, like they've given up 2 goals directly off like ground balls in the crease area. You change that, this game's even. Right? Like, I mean, it really has been the difference. 6-on-6 sets, both teams have competed. It's been those little things that, again, I think Notre Dame does as well or better than anyone in the country. But you can clean that up as a coaching staff and game plan a little bit better.
7:21 to go. If Tyre can get hot, crazier things have happened. Crazier things have happened in this matchup.
You can't tell if Tyre's hurt.
Tyre didn't take that face-off. It was Graham Schwartz.
Seen Schwartz a couple times here. Last face-off X.
Matt, 2016, the year North Carolina made that run to a national championship. Remember, they won it all as an unseeded team. Late in the year, they're playing Notre Dame. They were down 5 goals in the fourth quarter. Bones Kelly, Stephen Kelly started winning every face-off. Carolina ends the game on a 7-0 run. They win the game. That win against, at the time, number 1 Notre Dame, ends up putting Carolina in the tournament. Here's Egan. They end up losing their next game, which was to Syracuse in the ACC tournament, beat Marquette barely in the first round, and then beat Notre Dame, beat Loyola, beat Maryland, won a national championship. So we've seen crazy things happen in this rivalry. I remember the game where Notre Dame was down a couple of goals, and Evan Connell gets hit with a penalty. Matt Cavanaugh scores a couple of goals late with the extra man. It was a non-releasable 2 or 3 minute call, and Notre Dame ended up pulling out a stunning win.
Do I see sun now?
This is the weather. This is the weather in the Midwest, and this is what happened in 2016. North Carolina, number 16, very much on the bubble like today. Notre Dame, number 1 team. Irish rolling 15-10 with 10 minutes to go. By the way, the score right now is 15-9. There's Stephen Kelly off the faceoff, scores the goal. That put UNC ahead. Carolina would win 17-15, and nobody thought at that time that was a national championship team. It turned into one.
That was an amazing run for Carolina. Kind of found themselves late in the season. Again, 10 minutes away from their year being over.
You look at the resumes for the teams on the bubble. Carolina has a top 5 RPI win. They have a win against Johns Hopkins, which has looked better and better since that win. It was on a Tuesday early in the season, back on the 14th of February. Villanova, last check, they're in a dogfight with Marquette. There's not a lot of margin for error for Villanova. Rutgers lost last night. Denver, which has a head-to-head against UNC, beat Providence. And if the Big East is a 2-bid league, let's say Georgetown and Denver, Denver's going to have the head-to-head against UNC, which goes a long way.
Yeah, but so those 2 top 5 wins, right? And so, again, North Carolina, especially if Villanova falls to Marquette, they're in overtime right now. They can get a win against Notre Dame, right? Which is a huge task. Start there. Their resume is pretty solid.
For those of you anticipating the start of Syracuse in Virginia, the start of that game will be on ESPN News. We will join in progress once we finish up in South Bend. Matt, we've seen it all with the weather today. It feels like there's a puppeteer somewhere in the sky pulling strings. We had wintry mix, we had rain, we had the umbrellas out. It was nice when we walked into the stadium, and now the sun fighting its way through the clouds. Four seasons in an afternoon. McGovern, his pass picked off by Entenmann. Are we gonna get a hailstorm once we're done here? What's next? Locusts?
I mean, it did hail 2 weeks ago.
There is something about this campus and Four Horsemen, so we'll leave it at that. Here comes Chris Kavanaugh. For Carolina fans monitoring the bubble, Villanova won 16-15 against Marquette. Tevlin off the feed from Westland. It'll stay with Notre Dame. Pat Kavanaugh, a goal, 2 assists on the afternoon. And he's got a short stick in English. Does the slide come? English staying with him so far. There's the backside help. Matt Wright, but it's going to be a penalty. Oh, and Matt Wright and Chris Kavanaugh getting into it. Kavanaugh gave him a tap on the thigh. And now the officials separating the two teams. Some of these ACC games have gotten pretty chippy the last few weeks.
You got that good board?
We take a look at the penalty here. I think Chris Kavanaugh, quite frankly, lucky to not be in the penalty box. And if I'm the coaching staff, I get you're sticking up for your brother, but coach, like, and that's in a tournament, and you're going to go man up, and then you retaliate because he gave that little check to Matt Wright's leg. Not gonna hurt him here, but that's just a small thing that could make a big difference. And so it's a nice opportunity for the coaching staff to.
As good as those two brothers have been this season, if you're going to nitpick, and again, it's hard because part of it is in their DNA. These guys are hockey players. There's that built-in toughness. They're not going to take anything from anybody, but they've been penalized at times.
And you don't see attackmen typically leading your team in penalty minutes. But on the flip side, it's probably where they get too many ground balls. Outside the face-off men, they lead the team in ground balls.
Jeffrey Richardelli, second man on goal of the season, 8th goal overall. And the Irish extend to 16-7.
Nice assist from Pat Kavanaugh.
So that means he's at 199 career points, Pat Kavanaugh is. Schwartz out there battling with Hagstrom. It's Wright off the wings. Harris, trail check on Schwartz. It comes to Notre Dame, Bergmaster. And there you go again. Face-off won by Carolina. Possession to the Irish. Four minutes to go. Syracuse, Virginia to follow. Two weeks from Sunday, The NCAA tournament field revealed. And if you're out there going, well, what's the difference? Why 1 seed, 2 seed, does it matter? Now, the real answer is yes. A 1 seed has never lost in the first round. A 2 seed has lost 5 times. Since the tournament expanded, which was starting the 2003 season, there have been 19 NCAA tournaments since then. 18 times the 1 seed has reached championship weekend. The 2 seed, 9 times. The 3 seed, 10 times. Significant advantage historically in being the 1. The only time a 1 seed did not get to the semis, 2011. Maryland knocked off the 1 seed Syracuse in the quarters. That was the year where the top 4 seeds all failed to reach championship weekend.
The equivalent of the 2022 NCAA basketball.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that was a Virginia team led by Steele Stanwyck, beating Maryland in the championship that year.
That team almost lost to Bucknell in the first round.
DeMarco all the way. Nobody picked him up. I'm watching the Big Ten, how it unfolds. That Big Ten tournament's going to be wild, wide open. Michigan had a nice win last night against Ohio State. Michigan is probably 3 or 4 plays away from maybe being undefeated in conference play. And they're 6-6 on nobody's radar. Penn State's been resurgent. Hopkins has been resurgent. I think we've all learned you can never count out Maryland as long as John Tillman's the head coach there. The Ivy League tournament last year, you had teams that didn't make the tournament get into the field. While it was fun and it was a celebration of what they'd accomplished after not playing for 2 years, the stakes weren't all that high because everybody was getting in and they ended up getting 6. This year they might get 2, maybe 3.
I think the Ivy's a 2-league team this year. If you look at it, you know, I don't. Right now we look at this. The Ivy at 2.5. I mean, I thought there was a moment, right, where the Ivy League could have been a 1 team. I mean, when Cornell lost to Harvard, I didn't know. I was like, okay, it wasn't a good day. And UPenn lost to Brown.
And Brown is interesting. Brown hosted the Ivy League tournament last year. They had a bunch of players out. They get them back, different team. Right. Again, the committee, RPI, strength of schedule, that doesn't account for how your team changes. So now Brown basically becomes minesweeper in the league. You get too close to Brown.
Well, Cornell's in, right? In my opinion. Like, I think
agree.
Cornell gets
Cornell's in.
So if they win the tournament,
AQ.
Who's the second team that's going to get in?
Penn's going to be helped by strength of schedule.
Okay.
Yale has banked some pretty good wins. To me, I think it's Cornell, Yale, Penn, the 3 that are in the mix.
Yale's had also like a terrible run in the middle of the season too, right? I know that doesn't get factored in a lot, right? But to get blitzed by Cornell and Penn the week before. They're definitely playing better now, Yale.
New goalie in for Notre Dame, it's Alex Zeff. 6th game of the season. He's played 24 minutes. Faced 13 shots, stopped 7. And he makes the save on the shot by Matten, and then lost it. Trying to outlet, it's loose out of the crease. Delgado able to pick it up. Egan knocks it away. Matten able to retrieve. Coming up on 90 seconds. Notre Dame emptying its bench. A lot of backups in there. Matten shoots, but the whistle was blown. I didn't see what they called there, Matt.
It was a procedure penalty, which I don't know what the infraction was.
Syracuse, Virginia to follow. Notre Dame, bye week. We were talking to Kevin Corrigan this week. You asked him how big the first few minutes of the game would be coming off a bye, and they got off to a 7-1 start in this game. Carolina got it to 7-5. They got it to 8-6, and then Notre Dame took control. And during the bye week, they worked on cleaning up some stuff defensively. They worked on getting some of these young guys meaningful reps, almost like a football team would treat spring ball a little bit.
Depth, so important going into the NCAA tournament.
Seymour. That shot stopped. Final 12 seconds in South Bend. On a day we saw all sorts of weather, the storm was Notre Dame. On senior day, the Irish take care of business. They knock off North Carolina 16-9.